to tell you the story about Black Dyke Mills. Their conductor one day, they wanted to get rid of him. He was retired trumpeter from London. They hated him. One day he started conducting. Nobody played.
He said, "Do you want to trade off?"
Somebody just want to say, "You ain't worth the shit without us, are you?"
Let's both play the first one. Yeah. I'll
Imagine
take
that
the
surprise.
second.
All right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, there's usually a big old crowd.
It's not a perfect science.
you got the second one. I see what phrase.
At least the score is missing. All he's got it, he's lost it.
Perfect.
I think I'm not going to let it score.
I thought it was.
That's where it started. You stop there.
So after the pomp and circumstance, we'll go back to the Susato 1. And actually before that will be Dwight Bigler's fanfare. Then Susato 1 will come back. At the very end is the rondo. So you're done with the Bengal Assembly, you're done with Petzl. Done with most of the Susato except for number 1.
I should sing it instead of us playing.
You learn how to play tambourine and percussion?
Yeah.
Let's play percussion.
That was a good class. It was.
Oh, that's
Probably didn't know
No, it's not. That's Moose.
Rally's much more chill.
Yeah, and much Moose is an old
Sure you know where we go back from in pomp and circumstance? Goes back to rehearsal 10.
a bunch of toys.
Some grades went
We do play the opening
My
fanfare.
grad school grades aren't well.
I'll never forget when we were in Charlotte. We saw people
Is it on the
walking
same
around.
report as the undergrad classes? Because it's a very different grading system.
Also in that hotel, he like had explosive
Yeah,
diarrhea.
yeah, yeah.
Covered it in a watch.
That's scary.
And like his handlers
It's
were
like
like
on the screen, you can see
and they were like everywhere. And I was like, and this is the dog that tires the Bible so much they put him on their classrooms. And he was like dookie all over a hotel lobby.
I mean, Wally's class is right on my last sentence. I don't have any.
Well, you know why he's the course
And I don't have
dog.
any police reports.
He's too dumb. He failed out of. He was training to be a service dog, and he was too dumb. And they were like, "Well, what are you gonna do now?" And the Corps was like, "We'll take him. He'll be our mascot." And that's how the Corps got him.
And he doesn't look bad.
She's lighting. They're playing for commissioning tomorrow night.
I don't know commissioning. So like everybody that does the Corps, and they're like actually like not civilians, but like the ones affiliated with ROTC will commission. So like when they graduate, instead of having to work up the ranks, they're commissioned as officers because they have.
I'll ask because Stanley sounded rough this morning.
Hey dude, they're getting there for like in the stands in the stadium. I can finally start to hear them this past. It helps that they had like 12 tubes this year.
Yeah, we had a good number. I think it was more than 9. But yeah.
I had to buy more than the like 2 they had this year.
22. Exaggeration.
person she was doing that to went like this with her hand. It's like, let's
Saying,
take a
you know
show.
who I am? Or
You know
in
how much
charge?
money I make? Somebody literally told me that at the mat during like this huge conference. Somebody tried to bring in coffee, which like it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and they were going to be sitting through 14 hours of discussions about garage. But like they were trying to bring coffee, and I was like, "Sir, I'm really sorry, we don't allow food or drink inside the conference." It was 7 o'clock in the morning. I said,
Me?
"Yes, sir, I'm well aware."
I watched that show.
Too young.
I watched that show.
He goes, "Do you know who I am?" I was like, "No, sir, I don't." He goes, "Do you know how much I make?" And I was like, "No, sir, I don't." He goes,
You said I was
"Why
too
don't you
young.
let food
I was 7 when that
I mean, too
happened.
old.
I said,
It was
because
like,
the seats are unprotected.
2007, I
To
was
make the
and I have younger siblings, so they
like,
watch it. So like, it was on TV.
I could literally bump the seat if I spilled, which I won't because I'm an adult and I know how
I
to
meant
drink
too old.
coffee. And I was like, "Sir, we
No,
don't
I watched
allow
it
food or
because
drink."
it was 2007.
And then finally he brought up, "You know how much I make?" again, and I was like, "Sir, can you please just hand it? You don't even have to go throw it away. I'll take it from you, so you don't have to get up, and I'll walk it to a trash can." And then finally he like was okay with it. But like if he had said one more time, "Do you know how much I make?" I was gonna respond with, "No, I don't know how much you make, but I only make $8.25 an hour." That's not
That
that
was like that.
I told my manager that, and she goes, "As funny as that would have been, you probably made the right call by not saying that."
That show was so sad. It's so emotional.
And I was like, I mean,
Bob, I don't
I don't
wanna know
value
that.
my job.
And Max was like,
I'm not surprised.
like
Max was traumatized. I mean, he was
traumatized.
you ready.
That's what they said the backstory.
Please rise for the presentation of the colors and the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in
Well, thank you, Mary, and good afternoon. On behalf of the university community, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Spring 2019 Graduate Commencement Exercises. We want to thank our governing body, the Virginia Tech Board of Visitors. Board members are appointed by the governor, and Virginia Tech greatly benefits from their deep and genuine commitment to the university. Rector Dennis Tracy is with us today, along with board members Greta Harris, C.T. Hill, Horacio Valeris, and Preston White. By the way, you can all have a seat. I would also like to welcome Board of Visitors Faculty Representative John Ferris, Staff Representative Robert Seebeck, and Graduate Student Representative Lorenzo Zoe Amani. Please join me in recognizing these individuals with your applause. Through this ceremony, we recognize a significant achievement and celebrate your talents, skills, and your hard work. It's important to note that these students would not have achieved their goals without the teaching, guidance, and mentorship of Virginia Tech's outstanding faculty. I would now like the faculty to please stand and be recognized. Just as crucial as the role of the faculty, the supporting cast of family, friends, and community members behind each graduate student deserve recognition. Would these individuals please stand so we can congratulate you as well? You know, that's pretty much everybody. Thank you. Graduate students are important to the university's research, teaching, and engagement missions and are able to earn degrees in Blacksburg at locations across the Commonwealth and online. During the spring semester, 1,227 students earned advanced degrees and certificates from an offering of 150 master's and doctoral programs in 8 colleges. There are approximately 630 graduates here with us today. As part of the graduate commencement, we invite an outstanding graduate student to provide a brief message on behalf of the graduating student body, followed by the keynote speaker to provide reflections and perspectives. It is now my pleasure to present Virginia Tech's Executive Vice President and Provost, Cyril Clark, who will introduce the graduate student speaker and keynote speaker.
It is my pleasure to introduce our graduate student speaker, Mary Ryan. Mary will receive a PhD degree today in the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences Alliance for Social, Political, Ethical, and Cultural Thought Program, known by the abbreviation ASPECT. Her research is focused on structural racism in the United States federal government, and she addresses areas of moral philosophy, governance, and civics, and critical race theory and white supremacy studies in her dissertation. Mary is a founding editorial board member of the peer-reviewed journal, Community Change, and has published numerous book chapters and journal articles on issues of surveillance, racism, poverty, democracy, and popular culture. She has also been recognized as a graduate school diversity scholar. Mary earned her bachelor's degree from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and her master's degree from Marquette University. Please join me in welcoming Mary Ryan.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank President Sands and the Provost for this opportunity to share a few thoughts as we embark on the next phase of our lives. I applaud all of my fellow graduates for your commitment to achieving the educational goals needed to pursue your passions and to lead the life you want. I join your cherished family and friends, as well as your dedicated mentors, professors, and deans, in sharing great pride in your accomplishments and the tremendous promise of your futures. Congratulations. Think of all the fascinating scholarship conducted by the people sitting in this space. All the data and quotes. For what? My doctoral studies have underscored the importance of maintaining an open mind, revealing how much more I can learn when I cultivate relationships with people who ask different questions than I tend to ask and who do not share my base assumptions. I'm so lucky that I got to revel in such an intellectually rich space, studying a topic of my choosing with the freedom to grow and test the value of my convictions. Of course, for so many of us, our studies have presented obstacles, making it important to embrace this hard-earned moment. Today is evidence of our ability to overcome academic imposter syndrome. Let there be no doubt that you all deserve to feel joy, a sense of accomplishment, and to recognize that you have earned your place at this ceremony. But we must not stop at taking pictures and celebration dinners. I hope we use the energy here to springboard us towards greater change and not leave our work in a dusty diploma frame. Our future threatens to be hollow and tenuous if we fail to help those with whom we regularly interact, be they students, peers, or even ourselves. We must not treat people as quotas, as tokens, like one, like only. The question is not how can we thrive in deficit, but for how long will we settle to live in a less glorious world than we are capable of creating? The question is not can we ever find the potential, but how do we cultivate the circumstances to nurture the talents right in front of us, to turn our tribulations into telescopes and gaze upon a better world? We must not settle for the injustice of telling people that they are stars without acknowledging the night that surrounds them. We must not tell people education is the key and then change the locks. We must not encourage people to work hard and break the glass ceiling and then just go and build new buildings. The high school version of me would be astounded I made it this far. But as I reflect on my own academic journey, I'm reminded that some things about me are constant. For instance, I'm a bit of a nerd, something which I presume is safe to admit in this space, as I'm sure some of you can relate. My nerdiness takes the particular form of French existential philosophy, and I've long adored the philosopher Albert Camus. Proof, my high school yearbook quote is his statement that outstretched hands are rare. I still love that quote, even though I'm sad by how often it resonates. It makes me wonder what it might look like for us to live with outstretched hands, to stretch ourselves. We can only hope to overcome this world's huge problems, massive inequities, and toxic bigotry by always deliberately and consciously choosing to err on the side of selflessness. As the South African anti-apartheid leader Steve Biko observed, the greatest weapon in the hand of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. We must put aside our own fears and insecurities and bet it all on ourselves and each other over and over until we grow larger than our past limits, outgrowing the old shell of ourselves, cocooning into the promise we can only fulfill if our vision is focused on the future. We have all done well by pursuing advanced degrees, but education alone will not improve the conditions of humankind nor save the planet. We must be vigilant in our disruption, distraction, and disentangling of the knowledge spaces and systems that do not suit the world we want. In closing, our new degrees and roles in academia will cause people to value our intelligence, and rightly so. Yet, I encourage all of us to not settle for intellect alone and fight for a more compassionate world. Reject the boorishness and gracelessness of ego-saturated competition, and remember, there is always a chance we can succeed. There's always a way to do and be better, as individuals, as academics, as community. Congratulations again, and I wish you all the happiness and luck in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. I now have the pleasure of introducing Melody Barnes. Ms. Barnes is co-director for Policy and Public Affairs of the Democracy Initiative at the University of Virginia, a professor of practice at UVA's Miller Center of Public Affairs, and a distinguished fellow at the UVA School of Law. She also is co-founder and principal of MB2 Solutions, LLC. Before joining the University of Virginia, she served as assistant to the president and director of the White House Domestic Policy Council for President Barack Obama. Ms. Barnes has worked as Vice Provost for Global Student Leadership Initiatives at New York University and was a Senior Fellow and Executive Vice President for Policy at the Center for American Progress. She worked for Senator Edward Kennedy on the Senate Judiciary Committee, served as Director of Legislative Affairs for the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and was Assistant Counsel to the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Civil and Constitutional Rights. She has written or co-written several articles and is a commentator on public policy for several radio and television news shows. Ms. Barnes holds a law degree from the University of Michigan and a bachelor's degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Melody Barnes.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And I want to thank the members of the podium, family members, graduates, friends, and certainly you, Provost Clark, for that wonderful and warm introduction. It is a pleasure for me to be back here in Blacksburg and at Virginia Tech. And I did say I am back here. It's been 42 years since I was last here. When I was last here, I was 13 years old, and I attended sports camp here. That was the phase in my life when I was either going to win at Wimbledon or I was going to become an Olympic gymnast. Obviously, those two things are interchangeable, but that dream got stomped on after spending 3 weeks here at Virginia Tech. I think I have a lot in common with every football team that enters into your stadium, including my employer, the University of Virginia. But in spite of that, I am very, very pleased to be back. Graduates, I want to congratulate you. It has been a while, but I remember sitting in that seat. And before I do anything else, I want to help you do something that's very, very important. If you can, or if you want to or able, I would like you to please stand up and to face your family members and friends. Those people who brewed coffee for you when you were writing those papers, yep. Those people who listened to you when you were complaining about your advisor, because what does your advisor really know? And I want you to clap and applaud and thank them for all that they have done for you. Now, there's one more other thing that I would like you to do as well. Before you collect your degrees and your hoods, I want you to make a commitment that I hope you'll keep for the rest of your lives. I would like you to opt in for democracy. And I'm going to tell you why. Some of you may have recently read an article in the Washington Post about a young man named Eddie Adams. And for those of you who didn't, or for those of you who don't remember that article, let me just tell you about him very briefly and remind you of his story. Eddie is 20 years old, and right now he is the principal cellist at George Mason University's Symphony. He's a natural talent with dreams of winning a spot in a major symphony orchestra, something that is unusual and something hard to come by for many African Americans. His life has always been difficult. By middle school, he had moved homes with his mother and his 5 siblings 7 times, including to a homeless shelter in Alexandria. He felt marginalized by his family and ended up sleeping in his car after he informed his mother of his sexual orientation. His oldest brother was shot and killed by his roommate in a dispute that many believe was about money. And yet, Eddie has persisted. With the help of teachers who believed in him, they took him in, they loaned him instruments, they encouraged his application to George Mason University, but money for food, for instruments, for housing, to go to the dentist was hard to come by. Until 13-year-old Noah Pansteyer, who's a student of Eddie's music teacher, established a GoFundMe page for Eddie. And in addition to that, when Noah turned 13 and he had his bar mitzvah, he encouraged his family and friends to make a donation to Eddie as opposed to giving him gifts. And since the Washington Post ran this story in April, donations have poured in and topped over $140,000. Not one, but 2 cellos have been donated to Eddie, and he now has a tuxedo to wear to his concerts. I remember reading Eddie's story one morning while I was eating breakfast, and tears came to my eyes. I thought, what a tenacious young man. I thought, what a generous 13-year-old. And I thought, what a compassionate public. I also thought the hurdles that Eddie is so courageously trying to clear are the same hurdles and challenges that face millions more. Homelessness, hunger, violence, family disputes, overwhelming student loans. We just don't know their stories. And that leads me to my question and my charge to you as graduates. What if the reflex that led scores of people to help Eddie were our collective impulse for our country? I ask that because that impulse is foundational to our democracy. Our country was founded on the belief that self-governance is possible, that America is possible if self-interest is restrained. And what restrains self-interest? A commitment to civic health, the happiness, health, and security of everyone in our large community. The obvious question is, and you're probably thinking this, how in the world do we accomplish that at a time when America seems so polarized, when neighbors are now opponents and when opponents are enemies? When if you win, then surely I must be losing. When we seemingly can't even agree on the questions, much less the path forward to answer them. Well, first, I believe that we have to embark on the difficult work of building community, recognizing our shared humanity even as we embrace our differences and our disagreements. And this isn't news to you. We've been called to this cause time and time again, from the entreaty to love thy neighbor to Dr. King's vision of a beloved community. The second thing, and this is what I want to spend my limited amount of time with you this afternoon talking about, is the fact that we have to use our talents to take on the challenges that pose a threat to our civic health. When you leave Blacksburg this afternoon or later this weekend, you'll use the mastery that you've gained here in your chosen profession. My charge to you is that you use your expertise to improve the civic health of our community, to take on the challenges, sometimes the existential threats, that democracy must address at scale. Here's just one of them, and you may have read about this recently as well. Just 2 weeks ago, hundreds of experts from around the world told us that human actions were leading to the extinction of more than 1 million species of plants and animals. And their extinction threatens everything from our ability to produce food for ourselves, to our economy, to climate change and beyond. So the question is, whose challenge is that? Obviously, those of you who are graduating today with degrees in agricultural and life science, in mining and crop and soil and environmental sciences, you know, well, these are our challenges. But what I say to you is that these are challenges for all of us, no matter what your degree is. And here's an example. Some of you may have eaten at a restaurant called Rappahannock. There are several of them in the United States, in fact, one just down the road in Richmond. It's owned by fourth-generation Chesapeake Bay oystermen who took over their family's business in 2001. when the oyster business was almost extinct and had almost collapsed. The native oyster was dying, and after doing research, these young men realized that this wasn't just bad for business, it was also bad for the bay, because oysters filter excess nutrients and play a critical role in our ecosystem. In their words, the oyster's impending demise was a story of excess and greed and short-sightedness. So Ryan and Travis Croxton began using different methods that were being championed by local retirees in oyster gardening. And today they've helped restore the oyster population in the Bay. They're supplying the best restaurants in the country. They've got award-winning restaurants across the United States, and they're partnering with fishermen and with farmers who share their goals, and they're educating the public. This isn't a story just about restaurants and oysters. This is a story about civic health, about the health and security and happiness of our community. It is a story about two people who use their expertise to address a challenge that is threatening our state and threatening our ecosystem and our economy at scale, the livelihood of men and women who work on the Bay, and as we've recently learned, species that are critical to our livelihood. Ryan and Travis's work sits alongside many others. Take world-renowned cellist Yo-Yo Ma. Yo-Yo plays on international stages around the world, and he calls himself a citizen artist. He's working in communities to help young people gain better reading and math skills in some of our most challenged schools around the country, and he's encouraging other artists to do the same. Take computer scientist Jo Bolamwini, who's a 30-year-old Rhodes Scholar, now completing her PhD at MIT, and she's using research and art to help us to understand the social implications of artificial intelligence. And my friend, Pulitzer Prize-winning historian Jon Meacham, reminds us that our democracy is stronger when we contribute to our nation's civic health. Jon recently wrote, "If the men and women of the past, with all their flaws and their limitations, their ambitions and their appetites, could press on through ignorance and superstition, through racism and sexism, through selfishness and greed, to create a freer, stronger nation, then perhaps we too can right wrongs, to take another step towards the most enchanting and elusive of destinations, a more perfect union. To do so requires immeasurable acts of citizenship and private grace. It will require, as it has in the past, the witness and the bravery of reformers who hold no office and those who have no traditional power, but who yearn for a better, freer way of life. You, graduates, are those people. And as you prepare to enter the next phase of your journey, I ask you to remember to exercise the kind of humanity that led scores of people to help Eddie Adams, that prompted them to care about a person that they will never meet. And to remember that democracy requires that you do the exact same thing for our American community, for scores of people that you will never meet, and others with whom you may vehemently disagree. We rise and we fall together, and the challenges that we face require your attention, your compassion, and your talent. Democracy requires that you opt in, because nothing less will do. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the message of opt-in for democracy, civic health, and building community. Thank you very much. At this time, I will ask Mr. Matthew Winston, Senior Associate Vice President for Alumni Relations, to join me in a presentation of a very special award. The Graduate School and the Alumni Association established the Graduate Alumni Achievement Award to recognize graduate alumni who have achieved the highest goals in their fields. I'm very pleased to announce that the 2019 recipient of the Graduate Alumni Achievement Award is Dr. Ben Sovokol. Dr. Sovokol, will you please come forward?
Dr. Sovokol is a professor of energy policy at the Science Policy Research Unit at the University of Sussex School of Business, Management, and Economics in the United Kingdom, and he serves as director of both the Sussex Energy Group and the Center on Innovation and Energy Demand. His research focuses on renewable energy and energy efficiency, the politics of large-scale energy infrastructure, designing public policy to improve energy security and access to electricity, and building adaptive capacity to the consequences of climate change. Dr. Sovokol is the lead author of the upcoming Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's 6th assessment report and is an advisor on energy to the European Commission's Directorate General for Research and Innovation. He has written numerous articles, books, chapters, and reports, and has received national and international awards and honors. He holds a doctorate in science and technology studies and a master's degree at Virginia Tech, a master's degree from Wayne State University, and a bachelor's degree from John Carroll University. Please join us in congratulating Dr. Ben Sovokol.
All right, well, thank you very much. Dean DePaul says I have 30 seconds in which I can speak, and I was thinking, what can I say in 30 seconds? And I think as much as this is an individual award, we keep hearing this today, it is really about the community of those that support you. So I'm going to ask my parents, wherever they are in this auditorium, to stand up, and also Professor Richard Hirsch and Daniel Breslow, who were my supervisors, if they're here. Where are they? All right, way over there. That is them, and I think it just reminds you that when you win awards like this, as much as it's fun and it honors the individual, I would never have been able to do it without my family, and also the Department of Science, Technology, and Society, which is a phenomenal department that I hope many of you visit as you think about science and technology and society. So thank you, Mom. Thank you, Richard and Daniel, if you're here somewhere, and everyone, congratulations.
Each year, we select an unsuspecting graduate student for special recognition. Unfortunately, I've said that every year. Each year, we select an unsuspecting graduate student for special recognition. This year, I want to recognize Aisha Yousafzai, who is receiving her PhD in higher education today. Aisha, will you please stand? Aisha was born and raised in Pakistan and has been living in the United States for the last 16 years. Her research focuses on identity performance experiences of Muslim international women. She has a passion for student development and has worked as a graduate assistant at the Student Success Center and College Access Collaborative. She has taught academic success strategy courses to help underperforming students improve their academic performance. She has also served as a graduate representative on the Commission on Equal Opportunity and Diversity. She also has earned a Future Professoriate grad certificate, received the Don Kramer Research Award. She's a Global Perspective Scholar and was recently inducted into the Edward A. Boucher Graduate Honor Society. Aisha, where is your family? I want them to stand to be recognized as well. Thank you for coming. You may be seated. Every graduate student has a story to tell about their journey to degree completion. And we really don't have time to share each story, but I will attempt to highlight some milestones and achievements along the way. And to do this, I want to recognize students from the campus here in Blacksburg as well as around the Commonwealth. This is an interactive part of this ceremony, so please rise and remain standing if you have received a national fellowship or scholarship. That's you all. Okay, yes. Please rise and remain standing if you were a recipient of the Outstanding Master's Student or Doctoral Student or the Alumni Association Graduate Teaching Experience or Service Excellence Award or the Preston Society Master's Thesis or Graduate Student of the Year. Now, a few more of you should be standing. Please stand to be recognized as a Graduate School Citizen Scholar, Diversity Scholar, or participated in the Grad School Global Perspectives program. Or you were inducted into the Interdisciplinary Research Honor Society, Iota Delta Rho, or served in the university by participating in the Graduate Honor System, or in governance in the Graduate Student Assembly, or on university committees or representatives of the Board of Visitors. Please, yesterday and today, we were celebrating cultural ceremonies, cultural centers and ceremonies. All of you who participated in those, please stand. Come on, there's more of you. I know that, I was there. If you are a part-time or full-time student at one of our extended campuses in Roanoke National Capital Region or elsewhere in Virginia, please stand now. Okay, you're making me work hard here. I'm trying to get all of you to stand. So please stand if you've ever visited the Graduate Life Center, a lecture, symposium, class in the GLC. Contacted the graduate school. I know you all have had to contact the grad school. I've got you all standing, so colleagues, family, and friends, these are our graduates. Congratulations. Somebody changed my notes. You may be seated. Okay. As we prepare to introduce the candidates for graduate degrees, I want to share a tradition that the graduate school began over 12 years ago, the presentation of an original music composition as a gift to the graduating students. This composition is written solely to celebrate this day. Today's composition by Associate Professor Dwight Bigler is entitled Fanfare for Brass. Please take a few moments to enjoy the music accompanying the images and reflections that will be up on the screen.
We will now begin the conferral of doctoral degrees. A very old and special tradition in academia accompanies the presentation of the doctoral degree. The doctoral candidate and the student's major advisor, the advisor who most mentored and supervised the student's research, walk together to the stage where the advisor places the hood over the head of the graduate. By hooding the graduate, the faculty member symbolically welcomes the graduate as a professional colleague, and his professional relationship and friendship often continues through the graduates' and the mentors' lives.
Will all the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education degrees please rise? President Sands, I have the honor to present the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education degrees.
With the power vested in me by the Board of Visitors and the Commonwealth of Virginia, and upon recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education degrees to which you are entitled, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
Please be seated. Will the marshals please escort the candidates for the doctoral degrees and their major professors to the stage for the hooding ceremony? Dr. Joseph Marola will now read the names of the doctoral recipients and the hooding professors.
Receiving the Doctor of Philosophy from the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences In agricultural and extension education, Stephen James Manchester, hooded by Professor Eric Kaufman. Oladeo Okukayode Omosa, hooded by Professor Thomas Archibald. In animal and poultry sciences, Amanda Maverick Brandt, hooded by Professor Sally Johnson. Caitlin Lucille Kaufman, hooded by Professor Sally Johnson. Jinlei Wen, hooded by Professor Michael Persia. In animal sciences, dairy, Meng Meng Li, hooded by Professor Mark Hannigan. Peter Samuel Yoder, hooded by Professor Mark Hannigan. In crop and soil environmental sciences, Odine Maria Alvarez Campos, hooded by Professor Gregory Ivanillo. Martin Leonardo Battaglia, hooded by Professor Gregory Ivanillo. In entomology, Jackson Cornelius Means, hooded by Professor Paul Merrick. In food science and technology, Razieh Farsad, hooded by Professor David Kuhn. Hassan Mohammed Masri, hooded by Professor Joseph Eifert. Lily L. Yang, hooded by Professor Renee Boyer. In human nutrition, food, and exercise, Mitchell Edison Allen, hooded by Professor David Brown. Bailey Elizabeth Ho-Tailing, hooded by Professor Elena Serrano. Jing Luo, hooded by Professor David Brown. Justin Bradley Perry, hooded by Professor David Brown. Zhipeng Tao, hooded by Professor Elena Serrano. Miriam Uhas, hooded by Professor Jamie Zellner. From the College of Architecture and Urban Studies in Architecture and Design Research, Mohammed Omar Al-Fadil, hooded by Professor James Jones. Sana Mohammed Al-Rakibat, hooded by Professor James Jones. And assistant. In environmental design and planning, Maria Wimberly Saxton, hooded by Professor Annie Pierce. In planning, governance, and globalization, Om Chand Madhu, hooded by Professor Todd Shank and Professor Yang Zhang. In public administration and public affairs, Melvine A. Lanier, hooded by Professor Matthew Dahl. From the Pamplin College of Business in Business Accounting, Rebecca J. Wetmiller, hooded by Professor Reza Barki. In business, Business Information Technology, Shingirai C. Kwaramba, hooded by Professor Quinton Nottingham. From the College of Engineering in Aerospace Engineering, Matthew Cecil Jones, hooded by Professor Eric Patterson. In Biological Systems Engineering, Akin Rotimi Idowu Akinola, hooded by Professor Teresa Wynn Thompson. Prasanth Valayamkunath, hooded by Professor Teresa Wynn Thompson. In Biomedical Engineering, Megan Lindsay Bland, hooded by Professor Stephen Rowson. Iman Thomas Campolatano, hooded by Professor Stephen Rowson. Siut Dong, hooded by Professor Robin Queen. Kristen Elizabeth Renner, hooded by Professor Robin Queen. Mark Aaron Thompson, hooded by Professor Mark Van Dyke. Hua Ning Zhao, hooded by Professor John Chappell. In Chemical Engineering, Mubashir Kamar Ansari, hooded by Professor Richie Davis. Wen Hui Li, hooded by Professor Ayman Karim. Yu Bing Liu, hooded by Professor Ayman Karim. In Civil Engineering, Mohammed Hamad Almana, hooded by Professor Hesham Raka. Vincent Italo Bongianni, hooded by Professor Gerardo Flinch. Sina Dabiri, hooded by Professor Kevin Heaslip. And he is also receiving the Master of Science in Computer Science and Applications. Lakshmi Narasimha Somoyajulu Dulipala, hooded by Professor Madeline Flint. Ali Reza Frazapur, hooded by Professor Roberto Leon. Antonio Fuentes, hooded by Professor Kevin Heaslip. Yasaman Shataheri, hooded by Professor Jesus de la Garza and Professor Madeline Flint. In computer engineering, Shangjian Guo, hooded by Professor Michael Xiao. Robert France Lyerly, hooded by Professor Binoy Ravindran. In computer science and application, Ali Anwar, hooded by Professor Ali Boot. Siddharth Krishnan, hooded by Professor Lenwood Heath. Bo Lee, hooded by Professor Kirk Cameron. Yu Feng Ma, hooded by Professor Edward Fox. Ilahe Raisi, hooded by Professor Bert Huang. Nai Ching Huang, hooded by Professor Kurt Luther. Luna Suk, hooded by Professor Ali Boot. Azam Sadat Zavar Musavi, hooded by Professor Mehdi Ahmadian. In electrical engineering, Rajendra Adhikari, hooded by Professor Virgilio Centeno. Sadia Afros, hooded by Professor Rolando Burgos. Shantunab Deb Chowdhury, hooded by Professor Gregory Earl. Christina Marie DiMarino, hooded by Professor Rolando Burgos. Kevin Paul Diomedi II, hooded by Professor Gary Brown. Thomas Raymond Edwards, hooded by Professor Daniel Weimer. In engineering education, Debarati Basu, hooded by Professor Vinod Lohani. Michael Roman Iconiak III, hooded by Professor Marie Peretti. Andrew Luke Gillen, hooded by Professor Jacob Gross. In engineering mechanics, Su Ying Chen, hooded by Professor Mark Kramer. Peter Joseph Nolan, hooded by Professor Shane Ross. Wen Chao Yang, hooded by Professor Mark Stremler. In industrial and systems engineering, Christine Diane Cantin Garcide, hooded by Professor Mari Nussbaum. In materials science and engineering, William Jacob Monzel, hooded by Professor Guo Quan Lu and Professor Gordon Yi. Rose A. Roberts, hooded by Professor Johann Foster. In mechanical engineering, Yuen Bai, hooded by Professor Christopher Williams. Dustin Joseph Frohnapfel, hooded by Professor Todd Lowe. Jonathan Lee Hodges, hooded by Professor Brian Latimer. Prashant Kumar, and even smaller assistant, hooded by Professor Scott Huxtable. Hyun Jung Lee, hooded by Professor Scott Huxtable. Rodrigo Sarlo, hooded by Professor Pablo Tarazaga. Chuang Su, hooded by Professor Saeed Tahiri. Tyler Graham Vincent, hooded by Professor Joseph Schetz and Professor Todd Lowe. He Du Yang, hooded by Professor Alan Asbeck. In mining engineering, Marina Anita Jacqueline Mollendor, hooded by Professor Nino Repepi. From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences in Career and Technical Education, Thomas C. Shelton, hooded by Professor William Price. In Counselor Education, Chalen Mabry, hooded by Professor Laura Farmer. Ariane Evans Robino, hooded by Professor Laura Welfare and Professor Gerard Lawson. In Curriculum and Instruction, Erica Lynn Bass, hooded by Professor Trevor Stewart and Professor Amy Azano. Amanda C. Biviano, hooded by Professor Bonnie Billingsley and Professor Amy Azano. Janet Lynn Hilder, hooded by Professor Barbara Lockie. Rachel Elizabeth Keller, hooded by Professor Estrella Johnson. Pamela Neal Lindstrom, hooded by Professor Trevor Stewart and Professor Amy Azano. Ricky Dale Mullins, Jr., hooded by Professor David Hicks and Professor Thomas Williams. Miguel Alfonso Nino, hooded by Professor Catherine Sanamo. Louis Alfonso Rossi III, hooded by Professor Thomas Williams. Karen Virginia Zwanch, hooded by Professor Jesse Wilkins. In Educational Research and Evaluation, Xiu Jing Duan, hooded by Professor Gary Skaggs. In Higher Education, Aisha Latif Usafzel, hooded by Professor Claire Robbins. In Rhetoric and Writing, Andrew Michael Kulak, hooded by Professor Kelly Pender. In Science and Technology Studies, Samantha Jo Freed, hooded by Professor Saul Helfung. In Social, Political, Ethical, and Cultural Thought, Caroline Gray Alfin, hooded by Professor Francois Debris. Mary Kathleen Ryan, hooded by Professor David Brunsma. Anthony Zurek, hooded by Professor Laura Zanotti. Shelby Elise Ward, hooded by Professor Katrina Powell. In Sociology, Jennifer Laverne Turner, hooded by Professor Barbara Smith. From the College of Natural Resources in Forestry, Jacob Sullivan Diamond, hooded by Professor Daniel McLaughlin. Kristen Francis Hurst, hooded by Professor Mark Stern. In Geospatial and Environmental Analysis, Sanam Kumar Aksha, hooded by Professor Luke Jurin. Elizabeth Ann Weaver, hooded by Professor Corinne Colivras. From the College of Science in Biological Sciences, Catherine Marie Broadway, hooded by Professor Birgit Scharf. In Chemistry, Paula Juliana Celis Salazar, hooded by Professor Amanda Morris. Darren Matthew Driscoll, hooded by Professor John Morris. Mariam Gavami, hooded by Professor Paul Carlier. Hao Li, hooded by Professor John Morris. Xiao Yang Lin, hooded by Professor Amanda Morris. Jennifer Maria Rowe, hooded by Professor Amanda Morris. Guan Yu Wang, hooded by Professor John Morris. Rui Zhang, hooded by Professor Judy Riffle. In Economics, Mohammed Yassin Arafat, hooded by Professor Nikolaus Tideman. Juncheng Li, hooded by Professor Cheryl Ball and Professor Alex Smith. Caro Solat, hooded by Professor Alex Smith. In Geosciences, Kanika Parameswari Kolandayavalu, hooded by Professor Robert Lowe. In Mathematics, Michael R. Lugo, hooded by Professor Mark Shimazono. In Physics, Bart Lee Brown, Jr., hooded by Professor Michelle Plemling. Jacob Alexander Carroll, hooded by Professor Uwe Tauber. Madhurima Nath, hooded by Professor Stephen Eubank and Professor Uwe Tauber. Zhang Wen Wang, hooded by Professor Michelle Plemling. In Psychology, Aileen Patricia Ross Boumel, hooded by Professor Martha Bell. In Statistics, Mohammed Ibrahim El-Kuli, hooded by Professor Marco Ferreira. Ting Guan, hooded by Professor Xiaowei Wu. Robert Paul Travers Sabin, hooded by Professor David Higdon. From the Virginia-Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Medicine, in Biomedical and Veterinary Sciences, James Andrew Budnick, hooded by Professor Clayton Caswell. Kelly Clemens Freudenberger Catanzaro, hooded by Professor Clayton Caswell. Erwin Cristobal Felipe Gudenschwager Basso, hooded by Professor William Huckle. Benjamin O'Chieri, hooded by Professor Michel Thus. Chi-Si Chin, hooded by Professor Nick Dervisis. Ibtisam Mohammed Hussein Rajpar, hooded by Professor Jennifer Barrett. Interdisciplinary doctoral degrees in genetics, bioinformatics, and computational biology, Piros A. Talionis, hooded by Professors Brian Lewis and Dimitri Piros Talionis. In macromolecular science and engineering, Amin Dariai, hooded by Professor Judy Riffle. In translational biology, medicine, and health, Jordan Alexandra Darden, hooded by Professor John Chappell. Carissa Shea James, hooded by Professor Jamie Smith. Alexandra Michelle Mellis, hooded by Professor Warren Bickel. Michael Powell, hooded by Professor Kenneth Ostreit. Tristan Reich, hooded by Professor Stephen Polzing. Veronica Marie Skei, hooded by Professor Irving Allen. Thomas E. Strayer, hooded by Professor Samantha Hardin. Sydney Catherine Vaughn, hooded by Professor Greg Valdez. From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, receiving the Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Christopher William Collier, hooded by Professor Carol Cash and Professor George Vozikis. And receiving the Doctor of Philosophy from the Virginia Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Medicine in Biomedical and Veterinary Sciences, Marigold Ellen Bethany Ernst, hooded by Professor Nam Alwar Sriranganathan, and me.
Of our round of applause for our new PhDs and EDDs. Among the graduates today are individuals who have earned a postmaster's education specialist degree and many of you who have earned a graduate certificate. I want to congratulate you on those achievements. The university offers many distinctive master's degrees, including a large number from disciplines that confer the Master of Arts degree and the Master of Science degree. In addition, we also offer, and you have earned, the Master of Fine Arts, Master of Business Administration, and many professional master's degrees in disciplines such as architecture, business, education, engineering, forestry, information technology, landscape architecture, natural resources, public health, and public affairs and urban planning. Will all the candidates for these master's degrees please rise? President Sands, I have the honor to present the candidates for the master's degrees.
With the power vested in me by the Board of Visitors and the Commonwealth of Virginia, and upon recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the master's degrees to which you are entitled, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
It looks like the master's degrees have already been escorted to the stage, so I won't read this part, but I will say at this time Dr. Merola will read the names of the master's degree recipients, and the rest of you may be seated.
From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, receiving the Education Specialist degree, James Hudson Cheatham. Ashley Knowles Cheatham. Ashley Cannon. From the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, receiving the Master of Science in Agricultural and Life Sciences, Rachel Camp. Sarah Elizabeth Weaver Sharp. Receiving the Master of Science in Agricultural and Extension Education, Helen Omotayo Ajao. Chelsea Rose Corkins. Anuradha Sen. Kayla Michelle Harris. Receiving the Masters of Science in Animal and Poultry Science, Rachel Daniels. Kevin Liu. Receiving the Masters of Science in Crop and Soil Environmental Sciences, Taylor Nathaniel Blackman. Jessica Hoke. Sarah Jane Thompson. Receiving the Masters of Life Sciences in Food Science and Technology, Catherine Claire Racine. Erica M. Estrada. Carol Haynes. Receiving the Masters of Life Sciences in Entomology, Adam Formella. Receiving the Masters of Science in Dairy Science, Carrie Ann Say. Haley Hufford. Receiving the Masters of Science in Agricultural and Applied Economics, Yu Zhao Shi. Song Yi Pike. Grace Grossen. Ryan Speck. Receiving the Masters of Science in Human Nutrition, Foods, and Exercise, Emily Marie Vanderbrink. Aaron Walker. Olivia Obertello, Emily Debiak, Molly Parker, Darlene Acero, from the College of Architecture and Urban Studies, receiving the Master of Architecture, Devin Tomaselli. Madeline Grace Walker, Jack Candler Searcy IV, Logan Michael Merrow, Drishti Rajesh Shah, Eric Steerborn Odd Torrell, Shruti Singh, Tuba Jalal, Maria Barrios, Sarah Jamal Edin, Muskan Husseini, Yao Chen, Zhu Ying Sun, Chan Ming Zhao, Edward Olin Ko, receiving the Master of Fine Arts in Creative Technologies, Hui Kok No, Shindy Liu, Carter Christian Eggleston, receiving the Master of Public Administration, Olivia Brown Coles, Lawrence Marcus Harris, Joshua Allen Slaufenhoff, Parker H. Mabe, Aaron Poff, Dylan Gross, receiving the Master of Urban Planning, Bang Abala, Janisa Badua, Barrett Cosgrove, Josh Hams, Samantha Nicole Madu, Emma Taylor Martin, Hector R. Mendoza, Fan Mo, Lara Kimberly Nagel, from the Pamplin College of Business, receiving the Master of Accounting and Information Systems, Nicholas Gentry Hipple, Talia Larissa Cyber, Emily Nicole Cardassi, Junghwan Choi, Matthew Joseph Marr, Bryce Keller, Gabrielle D'Souza, Jordan Thomas, Gregory John Karras, Connor Stephen Hoback, Shi Yao Mai, Austin Mark Bishop, Margaret Joanne Lust, David Chipola, Daniel James Colora, Logan Schmitz, Maddie Dobbs, Brittany Lynn Miller, Danielle Amanda Curto, Megan Nicole Watt, Samantha Josephine Brown, Melisha Sade James, Cameron Overton, Peyton Keene, Xin Yu Yan, Zane Willis, Handao Lee, Ivy Honger Lee, Yinghei Lee. Receiving the Master of Business Administration, Sarah de Blasi Walker. Eliana Catherine Rosada. Shatoria L. Clemens. Sam Jackson Jordan. Ashish Raj Simha. Umair Ali. Maheen Khurshid. Maxine Kwartin. Olga Novakova. Thais Nogueira Nunes. Receiving the Master of Business Administration, Catherine Frances Asbury. Pratiksha Mazumdar. Alisa Williford. D. Bonaventura. Matthew Casadonte. Brandon Carey. Grant Kogar. Akalesh Tokala. Jake Skubik. Harry Kiu. Michael Anthony Orr. Alex Barami. Andrew Gullickson. Brett Hugel. Shu Mangzhang. Barun Padel. From the College of Engineering, Ren Vox Voi. Munira Sibai. Brady Reich. Sammy Rocker. Zachary White. Nolan Whiting. Reuben Quickle. Russell Rapaski. Ian Quinn. Receiving the Master of Science in Biological Systems Engineering, Emily Berg. Hunter James Flick. Taylor Page Lonice. Mary Morgan McCarthy. Receiving the Master of Science in Biomedical Engineering, Carly Norris. Tessa Reber. Lauren Wills. Receiving the Master of Science in Civil Engineering, Josh Dollinger. Andrew Thorpe. Laura Elizabeth Nikase. Elizabeth Sarah Marin. Matthew William Flora. Alberto Javier Duran Esmeral. Evan Ye. Christopher M. McBride. Nick Briley. Zoe Kendall Schmidt. Matthew Stephen Furby. Jae Won Sim. Divyang Pavan Baldota. Jamie Chen. Receiving the Master of Science and Master of Engineering in Computer Engineering, Vibhav Nanda. Parth Siddharth Shroff. Rishi Jayesh Shah. Anamika Ashit Sen. Subhasri Radhakrishnan. Mihir Sagar Kulkarni. Raghunath Vadakan Purushottam. Tarun Katuria. Vidur Kakur. Anand Jagdish Bangad. Devang Kamar. Yushan Yi. Sandhya Ramachandran. Robin Sheng Young. Devin Kyle Ketchum. Abdullah Ali M. Abu Mali. Mandy DeJong. Edward Matthew Gill. Michael Kokal. Jarrett Bolano. Shuang Jack Lee. Vishal Kadka. Eshwari Someshwara Korachar. Aimani Najmeddin. Bhavin Hitendrakumar Zaveri. Seth Michael Lindley. Naibi Smith. Sudha Ravali Yalapuntala. Pranavi Rambakta. Yamini Gaur. Naresh Nagabushan. Swapnil Sudhir Vekandi. Abhinuv Nitin Pitali. Omkar Sharish Dande. Varun Milind Kumtekar. Receiving the Master of Science in Computer Science and Applications, Suraj Satish Patil. Amit Pandurang Naik. Deepika Kishore Mulchandani. Shruti Krishna Shetty. Surab Shetty. Andrew Goldman. Ehsan Sami Ismail Ali El-Gendi. Melanie Tramel. Swapna Arun Torve. Aparna Gupta. Ashish Bagudana. Suprita Basavaraj Patil. Seitor Zelevu. Cedric K. Elo. Arinjoy Basak. Alex Su. Joshua Southward. Hassan Nadim. Hamza Manzoor. Prapti Prakash Kawas. Niti Sharma. Abbas Bhatia. Receiving the Master of Science and Master of Engineering in Electrical Engineering, Hita Ajay Patel. Andrew Ballard Baker. Grace R. Watt. Emma Barbara Rassman. Michael John Fletcher. Alexander Benjamin Freeman. Anaga Krishnan. Chuchismita Biswas. Shireen Ann Abraham. Durga Arial. Jonathan O. Okafor Jr. Corey Lamar Weeks. Will Lloyd. Harnaik Dami. Paul Burgess. Mohammed Mazarul Islam. Ashrarul Haq Sifat. Mohammad Shah Al-Mamun. Misha Michael IV. Magda Moses. Zhang Hao Zhang. Griffin Hyde. Joey Stamenkovich. Andrew Napetzik. Jacob Odom. Spencer Daniel Jenkins. Colin Russell Shea Blymer. Tian Chang Ying. Dong Han Hu. Xuan Liu. Shreyas Ramesh. Aditya Keshava Hirur Upadhyay. Abhinav Kumar. Kanagaraj Nachimutu Nalasami. Joel Keys. Joseph John Novak. Mani Venkat Sai Kumar Alap. Nadia S. Morazova. Mia Kuer Lee. Martin Scavoni LaSalle. Mihir Rimja. Som Ramakbal Mishra. Karan Yeshkumar Bedi. Mani Bhargava Reddy Bolempali. Kartik Laguduva Tanasekaran. Aditya Vazhapatu Parthasarathi. Jairaj Hemang Patel. Soham Praveen Zodpe. Mukund Pravinbhai Desai. Rahil Manish Mehta. Pranav Sudhir Kulkarni. Gunjan Garg. Xu Zhang Yu. Yao Li. Yu Ting Kai. Receiving the Master of Science in Engineering Mechanics, Nathaniel Hall. Pranav Shukla. Harrison Wood. Receiving the Master of Science in Environmental Engineering, Christine Irene Manzano Mapili. Anmol Vishwakarma. Deepika Dinesh. Eleftheria Adjutanti. Shantanu Vidyadhar Bide. Corey David Waite. Tolulopi Simisola Adekanya. Receiving the Master of Science in Industrial Systems and Engineering, Elliot Laratonda. Mohammed Omar Al-Haddad. Chelsea Daniel Wilson. Shivan Jain. Saibi Singh Makar. Mir Aziz Humayun. Udit Purohit. Salil Salunke. Abhimanyu Chauhan. Ashutosh Deepak Bansodi. Aditya Anil A. Mungad. Ishan Paresh Patel. Ruchik Kashyapukamar Taker. Supan Nayan Shah. Saurabh Mehra. Manik Agarwal. Abhishek Gupta. Tanmay Upadhyay. Tiyasvi Rajendran Iyer. Subhash Ola Osakopa Sukumar. Young Jae Lee. Xiang Wen Singh. Wenjun Han. Paula Daniela Falas Valverde. Rongshuan Wang. Receiving the Master of Science in Material Science and Engineering, Ken Benson. Wyatt Redmond Serby. Robert Biletz. Michael Kidd Jr. Alec Labit. James Rojas Mengajas. Junji Yang. Receiving the Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering, Brandon Gressick. Nilesh Madhavji Dama. Chidambaram Subramaniam. Nathan Harris Jones. Tai Kyung Oh. Jedhatai Buntanam. Georgios Kontudis. Shumen Feng. Jiteng Yang. George Boggs IV. Ridge Alexander Seibold.
Remember which one is the first and which one is the very last.
Matthew Francis Bogdan.
So you went down and then up.
Austin Joseph Darabrandt.
I see.
J. Kailash Dixit. Deepali Shirsekar. Karan Kotari. Lucas Daniel Spies. Juan Jose Monsalve Valencia. John Baggett. Receiving the Master of Science in Nuclear Engineering, Ryan Chan. Receiving the Master of Science in Ocean Engineering, Raymond James Bay. Matthew Thomas Roberts. From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, receiving the Master of Arts in Communication, Caitlin McDaniel. Mary Caitlin DeChristopher. David Lewis Mercer. Albert Jordy Rabateau III. Adam Chase Turner. Yulong Liu. Receiving the Master of Science in Education in Career and Technical Education, Caitlin Johnson. Elizabeth Garland. Lucy Hand. Anna Mitchell. Ellie Daney. Hannah Goodson. Receiving the Master of Arts in Education in Counselor Education, Tamara C.A. Christie. Molly Adams. Marisa Elena Valero. Bethany Shea Kimball. Laura Armentrout. Marcia Jackie Line. Emily Clara Upton. Receiving the Master of Science in Sociology, Anamika Raj. And sleeping companion, Erica Vandeveer. Counselor Education again, Mayreen Fatima Nagimi. How far? Kali Mikala Cook. Emily Warrington Crutchfield. Margaret Madeline Warner. Louise Marie Gertrude Morrissey. Receiving the Master of Arts in Education in Curriculum and Instruction, Craig Demoby Quarles. Maggie Lynn Akers. Danielle Dulaney O'Toole. Austin Pickett. Michelle Jones. Stephen Michael Howard, and a twofer. Kelsey O'Hearn. Kyle McLaughlin. Catherine Margarita Flores Downing. Gabe McElveen. Allie Hoffman. Caroline Greco. Maddie Williams. Carla Vasquez. Terry Lee Findley. Kenny Miller. Archie de Castric. Annie Wilkinson. Rachel Abbott. Jessica Phyllis. Katie Crawford. Lindsay Strominger. Elena Gaynor. Lane Brummel. Brooke Boutwell. Mary Rose Lund. Jamie Forrest. Ashton Lineberry. Hannah Humphreys. Hannah Rad. Jonathan Michael Herbert Spatalnik. Maria Eunha Lee. Zach Calhoun. Kelsey Mack. Sydney Childress, Sam Inge, Casey Castelli, Julia Ann Petras, Angela Pangburn, Cameron Kopecki, Jessica Pekar, Hayden C. Heflin, Rachel Elizabeth Luke, Adelaide Grace Segerdal, Christina Flegas, Rachel Elizabeth Miller, Tara Lynn Windley, Emily Jackson Heflin, Brooke Souders, Mary Michael Milner, Rebecca Catherine Aylor, Alyssa Baugen, Amy Crow, Jordan Nickel Fuller, Anna Sickinger, Maddie Conyers, what's her name, do you know? Rachel Murphy, Mackenzie Davis, Savannah Showalter, Charlotte Linza, Jessica Sawyer, Kristen Leigh Good, Delaney Joan Rodas, Sydney Spangler, Lexi Chadwell, Augusta Moss, Vanessa Sarah Robinson, Shelby Canonico, Stephen Reyes, April Peacock, Nicole Kruger Joyce, Marissa Anderson, Katie Walsh. Receiving the Master of Arts in English, Olivia Marie Sederstrom, Roshani Damala. Receiving the Master of Arts in Foreign Languages, Cultures, and Literatures, Maria Yvette Padilla. Stacy Escobar, Nicole Patricia Scartelli Sykes. Receiving the Master of Arts in Education in Higher Education Administration, Maggie May Farthing. Abby Elise O'Farrell, Taryn Elizabeth Asbury. Receiving the Master of Arts in History, Jenny Gallagher. Caitlin Renee Martin. Receiving the Master of Arts in Material Culture and Public Humanities, Kelly Lee Cooper. Sarah Allison Tucker. Receiving the Master of Arts in Philosophy, Andy Key. Receiving the Master of Fine Arts in Theater Arts, Olivia Kenley Jones. Gabrielle Elizabeth Piazza. Caroline Garrison Davis. Violeta Estefania Perez Vera. From the College of Natural Resources and Environment, receiving the Master of Science in Fisheries and Wildlife Sciences, Sky Taryn Christopher Button. Receiving the Master of Science and Master of Forestry in Forest Products, John Stutzman. Receiving the Master of Science and Master of Forestry in Forestry, Hannah Lee. Elizabeth G. Irwin. Brooke Nicole Thompson. Daniel Pratson. Brent Hawks. Rienzi Ayeshan Ragajiwa Mahendra. Receiving the Master of Science in Geography, Helen Marie White. Josh Starner. Damian Jeffroy. Veronica Jean Scott. Kelly Hope Summers. Mark Villarreal. Curtis Sherwood Hall III. Casey Marie Beta. Receiving the Master of Science in Biological Sciences, Brian W. Lehner. Philip Edward McElmurray. Receiving the Master of Science in Chemistry, Brittany Sanfacon. Receiving the Master of Science in Mathematics, Zach Gregorian. Chris Dare. Matthew Crawford. Receiving the Master of Science in Physics, Ralph Romero III. Receiving the Master of Science in Statistics, Chao Ran Wang. Shreya Chandrushakaran. Yu Jin Zhao. From the Virginia, Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Medicine, receiving the Master of Public Health, Aaron Davis. Elizabeth York. Lindsay Taylor Van der Molen. Margaret Lane Ragsdale. Alexis Nicole Terry. Kayla Scepter. Travis Oishi. Madeline Louise Murray. Michaela McGaugh. Stephen Black. Evie Marie Prado Sanchez. Valeria Van Derdis. Mary Alice Guzman Sanchez. Emily Meeks. Nikki Zamanali. Receiving the Master of Information Technology, Sukhpreet Kaur Gad. Khan Doi Nguyen. David Andrew Rice. Stephen Nathaniel Johnson. Dominic Borkowski. Mark DeVito. Jamie Jonathan Schmidtke. Alexander A. Maximov. Justin Begarek. Ronald Dennis Schutz, Jr. Lee Doughty. Charlie Rubble. Michael James Smith. Albert Patrick Fox. Tim Clancy. Parbati Sunjel and friend. Joshna Anchan. Caitlin Mercier. Sonia Chowdhury. Tasreen Tasmia Amin. Sean Wesley Hale. James Heath Jr. Joseph Fiusa Walters. Wes Mason. And certainly not least but last, Fernando Ustariz Alvarez Jr.
Please join me in one more round of applause congratulating all of our graduates. And now I would ask Matt Winston, Senior Associate Vice President for Alumni Relations, to share some congratulations and a brief message on behalf of the alumni.
Congratulations and greetings to the newest graduates of the greatest university on the entire planet, and that is Virginia Tech. This is a special day in your life and in the life of this great institution. You join a legion of Hokies, more than 250,000 strong around the world. In fact, exactly 257,312 around the world, who because of their experiences are solving problems, serving their communities, and changing the world in which we live, in which we play, in which we breathe every day because of what they did here at Virginia Tech. As graduate students at Virginia Tech, you each played a unique and multifaceted role within our community. You brought your undergraduate experiences here. You brought unique skills and perspectives from the workplace or from the military or from humanitarian perspectives and even from your own upbringing. And you introduced all of that into the fabric of this place. Many of you served as students, some as researchers, still others as teachers and as institutional ambassadors. And some of you did all of those things at the same time. That makes what you have accomplished in earning your graduate degree from Virginia Tech so remarkable. You gave us your talents, and for that I offer my admiration, my respect, and my gratitude. As the newest class of Hokies, we depend on you to continue to engage your alma mater. Be an ambassador for this university that has supported you. Visit campus often and come back for reunion programs, remaining engaged with your major professors and your research sponsors. Mentor other Hokies, and share what makes our community so special with others. And tell us where you relocate so that we can continue to connect you with Hokies who are nearby. You will face big opportunities and difficult challenges, but what you have gained here at Virginia Tech will arm you with the tools needed to overcome any obstacle before you. Know that from this point on, for the rest of your lives, that the world will expect extraordinary things from you because you are a graduate of Virginia Tech. There is no other university more worthy of your loyalty, your dedication, and your support for what is now our alma mater. For you see, we are Virginia Tech. On behalf of the Virginia Tech Alumni Association, I say congratulations to each of you and go Hokies.
As a final note, I would like to call upon Dr. John Ferris, who is President of the Faculty Senate, and he will bring a brief message of congratulations on behalf of the university faculty.
Thank you, Dean DePaul. Last speaker, one page. A loaf of bread, a gallon of milk, a stick of butter. No, hold on, sorry. No, I guess this is the part where I should say something deeply philosophical. So I thought back on my big life lessons, and I'm afraid the simplicity of what I have to say will probably disappoint you, but here it is.
Do the right things for the right reasons. First, recognize that none of us got here by ourselves. A lot of people stood up and worked hard to get us where we are today. So be grateful and recognize that, as the speaker at a previous commencement ceremony said, all that we are, we owe. The way you pay back this debt is to use these gifts to benefit those around you, not just yourself, to pay it forward, but prosim. Now, by the right thing, I don't mean anything radical. I'm talking about telling the truth, standing up for the underdog, and following through on your commitments. If you do these things, yes, there are going to be some unhappy faces around you in the short term, but in the long term, the consequences you suffer will be far less painful than you imagine. In my experience, we vastly overestimate the negative consequences of doing the right thing. In the end, you'll have the benefit of knowing you're living your life as you believe you should, which is a private boon and a public gift for people who recognize your moral basis through your words and deeds. After all, they're fellow human beings who understand integrity and honor and duty when they see it because it's a fundamental part of them too. In the long term, this is what builds understanding and respect and trust and love, and that's how you can make your corner of the world a little better. Well, I imagine by now you're wondering just how long I'm going to keep on talking, so I'll sum things up by saying do the right things for the right reasons and don't fear the consequences. And let me finish by congratulating you all on behalf of the faculty and staff of Virginia Tech. Thank all your family and friends for their support. We wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ferris. And a special thanks to Dr. Merola as the reader of names, to the faculty ushers and marshals, to Mary Ha and to Jay Crone and the members of the Virginia Tech Brass Ensemble for their part in this afternoon's ceremony. Now, please stand until the stage party has recessed. With the recessional, our ceremony will be concluded. Thank you for joining us and have a safe trip home.